Hello, welcome to Business Spotlight. And today I'm joined by Alice Watkyn, who is the founder of Mouthy Marketing. So, Alice, welcome to the call. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Gavin. Good to see you as well.
Well, that's an interesting name for business, Mouthy Marketing. What inspired you to come up with that?
Um, it was quite a long process, actually. I originally, when I set up the business, I came up with something really boring, which was Sussex Small Business Marketing, which didn't really say anything. It had no SEO value. It was hard to Google. Just everything about it was wrong. And so I decided to give it a little more sort of personal branding.
Right.
And while I'm not an especially mouthy person myself, I guess doing a lot of keyword research and that kind of thing, it was partly for SEO. And then the more I thought about it, like mouthy about small business, mouthy about, there was a lot of mileage in it. So it was
Yeah.
a process really, and it works with my kind of fun brand. So I stuck with it.
I was going to say it's very congruent. I've been looking at some of your LinkedIn posts, and it's definitely congruent with your philosophy about standing out there, isn't there, and being noticed. And also, I noticed hitting the right market, which we'll come to in a minute, because I know that's an important thing for you. But tell us a little bit about your passion for setting it up. Where did the idea for going into business for yourself come from? And tell us about those early days.
The early days. Well, I'm a marketer. Been doing marketing for many, many years, but like many people, my business came out of COVID. Like many people, unfortunately, I lost my job and I was forced to do something. And due to circumstances and due to the circumstances around the planet at the time, I thought getting a job right now is going to be tricky. So I thought, well, I'll try and go it alone.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was the right thing to do ultimately, but very, very
So
difficult.
how did those early days go for you?
So it was mixed, Gavin, if I'm honest. I was lucky in that I did get a client very early on, a paying client, and that was fantastic. It was a company that really matched my own values. They were a sustainable company. I loved what they did, but they were my only client. I had a mortgage to pay.
Mm.
I undercharged, overpromised. So while I was doing all this work for this client, I wasn't getting a chance to market my own business and go chasing leads. And I found myself stuck very, very quickly.
Mm. Isn't that interesting? You've described a scenario that I've seen so many times. It's partly the food on the table, isn't it? You think, well, I've got my first client, and I'm going to do everything I can to serve them, and as you say, overpromise and all those kind of things. So, how did you? I mean, they're challenges, they're early challenges in the business, aren't they? How did you get past those challenges? What did you do?
So how I got past the early challenges in the first year was I just completely burnt out. And then in a more realistic way, I was lucky once I had little bit of capital behind me
Yeah.
to be able to start sort of outsourcing things. That obviously really helped. I started learning to manage my time better, all the things that you would expect. And I was lucky. Well, I built myself a good network on LinkedIn
Mm.
well, which helped. And so slowly I started getting my name out there. And with the little bit of time I had available, as I think we'll discuss later, I started offering various free resources to small businesses, which again helped get my name out there. So it's been a long process, really, and a lot of adjustments.
So it seems from what you're saying that well, firstly, on a positive note, you learned very quickly from the early mistakes that you were making in the business, and I think that's an important point for any business owner that finds themselves in the early stages, thinking, "Well, why am I doing this?" And you stood back from that and thought, "I need to redesign this. I need to reconstruct this and go back and think about how I organize my time."
Exactly. And I think one of the key things was actually because in previous roles, I've been an all-round marketer. I tried to apply that to my own business. So I tried to apply Facebook advertising, Google advertising, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, UX, web design, about 20 different things. And that meant that I had to try and learn
Yeah,
all of these skills in depth.
right.
And so after a while, I took a step back and said, what do I actually like doing
Yeah,
and what am I good at?
yeah, yeah.
And
That's,
that took some of the pressure off.
yeah. A very important question, actually. I use a tool in my coaching called the Skill Fund Matrix. And if you're going to keep motivated, is what are those things that you enjoy doing and that that you're highly skilled at and really you need to do rather than anybody else. And kind of try and prioritize those things, and you'll take the business with you in that direction. And it's interesting to hear you reflect on, taking uh, your learning about marketing, but perhaps misapplying it in your current business, and not thinking of it through the eyes of a business owner, but actually as if you were a client to yourself. The marketing channels that you had at your disposal. Well, let's use them all because I know them all, and then it's about strategy and planning, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's possibly overused and overused piece of advice for businesses, but looking at the competition or comparing yourself to the competition generally does you no favors because I'd be looking at other marketing agencies and I'd go, oh, they offer this. I need to offer that. But of course, we don't all, none of us knows it all.
Yeah, no,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
and in building myself up a really tight little network of really talented, strong people,
Mm,
if I don't if I don't know it, I can bring in somebody else in my network who can offer that service. And we can either do it as a partnership or I can pass business on or but it was really important for me also not to see other marketers as the competition all the time.
yeah.
Making friends with my competition is probably one of the most valuable things I've done.
Mm, okay. So there were tears in the early days,
Yes, there
and
it
now
is.
and now you're in a better place. So tell me, I know you offer coaching and support to other businesses. Tell me a little bit about how you got to that point and how that works for you.
So it started in the early days because, I had a bit of extra time. Well, sort of. I had a bit of extra time. And when you think about business lead generation, you think, you have to be able to give people something. You look at funnels and everything. You provide useful advice to people. You hope they'll come back to you and be paying clients.
Mm,
So I thought, well, I'm a good marketer. I don't mind admitting that. Um, I specialize in small businesses, really. That's kind of my main focus. If I speak to small business founders and offer them advice, so people in the phase that I was in when I started my business, hopefully down the line they'll come back to me as a paying client.
mhm,
And so I did this. And what I quickly realized were a lot of those people. It was great to connect with them. I had some really great experiences. I was able to help people, but they were exactly where I was when I started my business. They had no budget at all.
mm,
And so I thought, well, I could ditch this because it's actually not doing me, it's not really benefiting me financially. And then I thought, actually, I enjoy this. I am giving something back as well. I'm thinking about my own tears when I started my business, sitting there at my Mac going, I don't know what to do now. The phone's not ringing. Nobody's sending me any emails. And I thought, if I give, I don't know, 5, 6 half-hour sessions a month to small business founders, then I've really given something back and it's taken zero away from me.
Now that's really interesting because we talked a few minutes ago about the high enjoyment, high value activities.
Yeah.
This is a high enjoyment, low value activity, but it's one that you actually enjoy doing, and therefore it contributes to your business in the sense that I guess you feel as though you're giving something back.
Yeah.
Identify.
Yeah, absolutely. So within my business, with the clients that I try and attract and the work I try and do, I always try and make sure there's some kind of ethical element. I
Yeah.
mean, we've all got mortgages to pay, so I can't say, yeah, I only work with this type of business, but there are certain types of businesses I won't work with
Mhm.
if I don't feel they align with my values. And the marketing tactics that I use, I try and keep them ethical. I try and not to apply shady marketing tactics like, using bad emotions like guilt or running fake sales or, all of the, or keeping people on expensive retainers, but not really doing anything for them.
Yeah.
So I can apply those values
Mm.
to being able to give something back to business in a way that I understand.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. It seems to me as though these, because it's still early years, isn't it? I mean, I know COVID feels like it was a long time in the past, but it's only been a couple of years. So in these early years of your business, it seems as though you've reflected, you've adapted, you've kept aligned with your own values and belief system about how business should be. And you've learned from the mistakes as you've gone along the line. Um, and is that a reflection, do you think? I mean, you come into business with many people come into business with the idea of building something great in terms of financial performance or whatever. Is this more reflection that you're trying to build something great in terms of what it means to you personally and what you can give back? I'm not saying financial performance isn't important, but it doesn't sound like it's the main driver for you, Alice.
So, as you say, financial performance is important. We've all got a life to live and we all want to live it in the best way that we can.
Yeah,
But I think more and more businesses are waking up to a difficult world.
yeah,
Um, Businesses just piling up, gathering more and more and more and more money has got the world into a sticky situation in
yeah.
some senses. And so, yes, financial performance is important to me,
Hmm,
but I have a conscience.
hmm.
And so, as I said, there are certain businesses I won't engage with. And it doesn't really cost a lot to put something back, whether that's something back into the environment or back into business or, whatever you do,
Yeah.
putting something back, especially where it doesn't cost much.
Hmm.
I think that's an important value.
Well, I think what's coming across right from those early days of, I cried in the first few weeks, and so many business owners will have experienced that. I mean, it is a big leap to go from being employed to being self-employed and building a business. But what's coming through loud and clear is your empathy with your clients, and also your empathy with your non-paying clients as well. And I think it's those kind of qualities that attract the kind of business that you're going to be comfortable with working with going forwards. I think it's a
I,
really important message.
I think so. And, aside from giving something back and doing the best that I can, businesses more and more value transparency
Yeah.
and honesty and trustworthiness.
Mm.
And I think that what I do, hopefully reflects that those are my values as a business as well as a human being.
Yeah. That's a very important point, and I think it's a good point to end on. Thank you very much, Alice, for sharing with us your journey, your short journey over the last few years of setting up your business. And I wish you all the best for the future going forwards.
Thanks very much, Kevin.
Okay.